What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. I am Farzin Vasugian, joining you on this Wednesday, a little earlier than usual. Had to kind of do a little bit of a shift in the schedule. I heard something's going on tonight. Don't really know. I mean, come on, who am I kidding here? But yeah, we are going a little early today. Plus, I kind of wanted to wrap up the podcast a little sooner today. Not going to be a very long podcast. Not a whole lot to go over here. Andy Reid did have a little bit of news to share today in the press conference as the Chiefs have wrapped up training camp in St. Joe. Talk about St. Joe a little bit and just kind of maybe the biggest takeaway for me personally and what we can look forward to as the Chiefs head back to Kansas City for the remainder of the season, having all of their practices there and getting ready for that week one game ultimately and the rest of the regular season as they try to bounce back in 2025. Talk a little bit about today's practice and just kind of the takeaway and what it could mean specifically for the preseason game this Friday night. Speaking of Friday night, no Red Friday Q&A live chat for very obvious reasons. The Chiefs have a game on Friday, so we're going to postpone the Red Friday Q&A live chat. No, Chiefs play next Friday again, so 2 weeks in a row, no Red Friday Q&A live chat. So again, obvious reasons, so we'll go ahead and push back on that. But we'll talk about the news that Andy Reid dropped today regarding the upcoming preseason game, where he talked about wanting to possibly rest some or maybe all of the starters. And I also have one question about a specific player and realistically his expectation, his future with the team moving forward. You guys have any questions, comments, whatever's on your mind? Since we're not doing a Q&A live chat on Friday, since there's a game, go ahead and hit me up tonight. Let me know what your thoughts are, what questions you guys have. And as always, appreciate you guys subscribing, following on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, wherever it is you guys are downloading and listening to the podcast. Always appreciate you guys watching live. Want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Football season is underway now. The regular season will be coming up very soon. College football going to be kicking off shortly. And if you guys want to catch any of the football action in person, all you have to do is go to SeatGeek, get your tickets over at SeatGeek.com. New customers can use my promo code Farzine and you'll save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, new customers can enter my promo code Farzine and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. All right, let's get right into it. The Chiefs wrapped up training camp in St. Joe. Listen, I'll be honest. I've only been to St. Joe twice before today. One was back in 2012. I was writing for the KU student newspaper. I was part of the media that day. And because I was covering KU football that year, Charlie Weis, that was his first year with the Jayhawks. And obviously, there were a lot of players on the Chiefs who had been familiar with Charlie Weis. Some of them, they played under Weis in 2010 when Weis was the offensive coordinator. Brady Quinn was the quarterback that year for the Chiefs. So he, of course, played for Charlie Weis in Notre Dame. So that was a perfect place to go to talk to some of the players who had been familiar with Charlie Weis and just kind of his background. So went and did that. And that was back when they did two-a-day practices. One in the morning and one in the afternoon. So I actually drove around St. Joe for 3-4 hours. Felt like forever. And I had no idea where I was even going. I was literally walking every single aisle in Walmart just to let time pass. I mean, there was literally nothing that I knew of in that town. And then I went 2 years ago. I was dating a woman. She had just actually moved to St. Joe, was living in the Casey area. She moved there for a job. And figured, hey, why not? Why don't we go to training camp? Listen, I don't want to be that guy, but she took forever to get ready as I was trying to pick her up and we were trying to get on our way. And it was not only that, it was a short practice and it was on a Saturday. So we basically went in there and we only watched practice for 10, 15 minutes. We just got to see some of the scrimmage, but neither here nor there. I got to, I don't know how many times I went to St. Joe this year. They had 17 practices. I would argue I maybe went to 9 or 10 of them. I don't have the number in front of me, but I went pretty frequently. And I asked you guys because I have a bigger following now than I have in the past for some places to check out. Essentially, I'll tell you right now, you guys want two big spots, and I went there twice each time. RC's Lunch Car, great spot for burgers and wings. Trust me. Yeah, I would never lie to you guys. Now, I will say they had a special a couple of weeks ago. It was the Great Lakes Olive Burger. I guess it's like a Michigan special. Dude, that has to be one of the best burgers I ever had. I wish that was permanently on their menu. Maybe they'll consider that. But RC's Lunch Car, great place for burgers. Go there. Great Sundays as well. Shakes, all that good stuff. And then Genio's Pizza. You guys want some really good pizza in St. Joe? I had the Philly cheesesteak twice in Genio's. Trust me, it's a great spot for pizza. So those two places, definitely go there. And it's pretty cool because there are a lot of see, Melissa knows what I'm talking about. Anytime I went to RC's or I went to Genio's, it was right after practice, and you would see a lot of other Chiefs fans going in there as well after practice. So a lot of people go, hey, listen, I know there are a lot of great spots. A lot of people mentioned Il Lazzarone. Here's my rule in life when I travel. I will not go to a restaurant that I have back home. There is an Il Lazzarone in Kansas City. It's a good spot. Not my favorite pizza spot in the world, but I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't go to places that I have in Kansas City, home essentially. Like for example, in Vegas several years ago, I tried Shake Shack. They at the time Kansas City did not have a Shake Shack. Now there's like two of them. So that's kind of my rule of thumb whenever I travel to another city. Don't eat somewhere that I have back home. I remember Bob Davis, a funny story, the late Bob Davis, a story someone shared about him. He really wanted to go to like a specific restaurant. And they were looking through the menu and they asked Bob, the server asked Bob, what do you want to order? He goes, I'll have the BLT. It's like, really? That? Yeah, the players like Il Lazzarone. I've heard that. I think that's where a lot of the team goes. I heard Mitch Holtis was at RC's the other week. Scott, Elaine, what's up? Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Antoine, you got what I'm talking about. Like, if you're going to travel somewhere, go eat at places that you don't have at home. That's again, that's just my rule of thumb. But anyway, neither here nor there. So Chiefs training camp is over. Got to explore St. Joe a little bit. Hey, listen, it's a nice small town. Obviously not a whole lot to do there. I mean, it's a small market town. What do you expect? So got a chance to explore St. Joe more than I have in the first two times that I mentioned. So good to be able to learn a little bit more about the city. Maybe you guys can let me know a little bit more after in the future. Sorry, I got distracted. I'll let you know what the distraction was. But yeah, in the future, you guys let me know if there's a spot that I absolutely need to check out in St. Joe that I've never been to. Let me know. So Fars is on a diet. He can't have barbecue. I can have barbecue. I'm actually starting to eat things that I really like Five Guys, but I'm like, it's got to be like rare. I mean, even like today when I was at Genio's having an IPA, I only drank half of it. I'm still watching what I eat, but I'm able to eat, kind of what I want. Still got to watch because I'm not at my goal yet. Got less than 20 pounds to go. I think 17 or 16 to be exact. But yeah, you guys are not here for that. Here's what I was distracted about. Apparently, there was a scuffle at Bengals training camp because Shamar Stewart, the rookie who had that dramatic holdout, I guess he bumped into Joe Burrow. And that turned into a little brawl here. Okay, I'm trying to watch. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this on the screen. Nothing's happening. See, the media always oversells this kind of stuff. Oh, here's a scuffle. It's just a bunch of players getting in between other players. Come on, let's not get too dramatic here. Let me just say this. My biggest takeaway from training camp, there's two. And for those who went to training camp, please let me know what were your takeaways, even if you only attended one training camp. Let me know what your thoughts were for that day there. But I was encouraged with what I saw from Rashee Rice. I think there was some concern as to whether or not Rice would practice with the Chiefs in training camp. And I remember, and I see your question, Jamie. I remember at the end of mandatory minicamp, Andy Reid broke the news that Rashee Rice and Justin Simmons were going to practice with the Chiefs in training camp at the start of training camp. That was a pretty big deal, locally and nationally. I remember listening to Sirius XM NFL radio, and they were talking about it for a whole segment and how big of a deal it was. Obviously, and if you guys remember at the time, I was saying I was putting together my top 5 players to watch. I had Justin Simmons and Rashee Rice on there. I think those are two very essential players on this offense here. We saw what Rice did last year. That transition from rookie to year 2, it did not look like a transition from rookie to year 2. Rashee Rice looked like he had been a player in the league for a very long time. I know it's a very small window of games to judge, but let's be honest. First of all, that's all we have to really judge off of. And second of all, there aren't a lot of football games in general anyway. I mean, the 3 games, and I'm not counting the 4th game where Rice got hurt because it was only 5 snaps into the game. But the 3 games Rice played, dude, he looked really, really good. He was top 5 in the NFL in receptions, yards, and touchdowns before his injury. So I'm just looking at Rice here, and I'll say this, man. Not only did he look really good in training camp, he looked like he was having a damn good time. Smiling, punting a football into the crowd, doing a few spin moves here and there. Obviously, he and Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, they were a tight-knit trio last year. I still remember every single day in training camp last year, the 3 of them would walk together every single practice at the same time. So when Hollywood had that injury last year, it was kind of odd because you then just saw Rice and Worthy together. It's also odd. It's something I learned in training camp this year that I never knew before. The timing of when these players come out, it's almost at the exact, for whatever reason, Travis Kelce is always one of the last players out. Kareem Hunt's always one of the last players out. Everyone almost comes out nearly. Jeffrey Bossa, the rookie linebacker from Oregon, he's one of the very first players to hit the field. And I don't know why that is specifically, but because I'm capturing video as they're coming in, so I don't know what's going on the actual practice fields. But I thought it was interesting. But anyway, Rice, that guy signed probably more autographs than any player I had seen. If you guys look at the schedule, there's a little note there. It tells you which position groups are expected to sign autographs, and it'll say linebackers and running backs. So everyone else is optional. Patrick Mahomes will do it every practice, but he'll leave if people are starting to push to get to him. I will say Travis Kelce. I did not see Kelce sign a lot of autographs. He did today, bro. The people that just ran toward Travis Kelce. And I felt bad because I saw a father have his little girl on his shoulders. She's trying to get a mini helmet signed. And then, they're trying to move fast because they're kind of tired. They want to get things over with. And, you get a few kids who shed tears because they didn't get an autograph from their favorite player. I mean, what are you going to do? I feel bad for the parents who are trying to console them and try to justify, try to rationalize with them. But I'm not a parent, so I don't know anything about that. What I will say is with Rice, going back to him, the guy was just having fun, always laughing, talking to fans, spin move on McDuffie at one point. Like, he just looked like he was having a damn good time in training camp. And I think part of it is he missed that whole nature of football. And I think, listen, we know what he's going through right now with his legal matter here. He missed almost all of last year because of the injury, and now he's going to miss some time. We don't know how many games. One rumor that the most recent rumor is 4 to 6 games, and I think that's from Albert Breer, who was at training camp last week. That's the expectation, I guess. But it was important to see how Rice was going to look in training camp. He looked like wide receiver 1 every single practice. Now, for some practices, he was not available for because of the groin injury, but he was able to come back from that. He's good to go. So we'll see what ends up happening. And by the way, if you guys have any questions you guys want to ask me, please ask it below. Since we're not doing a Red Friday Q&A live chat this Friday, for obvious reasons, since there's a game on Friday, ask it now. Ask it now. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll answer those as we go on. And I do see Jamie's question: how did Simmons look? That's my other big takeaway. Josh Simmons probably was the guy that everyone had their eyes on, because even though the Chiefs have been to 7 straight AFC championship games, they've been to 5 Super Bowls in the Mahomes era, they've never missed an AFC title game. But ever since they cut Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz in 2020, they really haven't had a viable option at either tackle position. At right tackle, they had Lucas Niang, just didn't work out with him. Who else did they get? There was someone else I can't recall off the top of my head. I think Andrew Wiley. Yeah, Andrew Wiley played some right tackle, was pretty bad if we're being honest. Then they go sign Jawan Taylor. That contract has not lived up to expectations, not even close to it. And then at the left tackle side, one of their first moves was acquiring Orlando Brown. He was bad, and he's still bad even outside of Kansas City. They go and sign Donovan Smith. He was bad. They go and draft Kingsley Suamataia, a disaster there. They try Wanye Morris, the guy who they drafted the year before. He was really no different. They get DJ Humphries off the street after they get the word that he's medically cleared. He unfortunately got injured right away when he hit the field. So the Chiefs just had no viable options at left tackle. So they moved their all-pro left guard to left tackle. Looked fine in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it was a different story. He was still better than any left tackle you had the past few years, but that's not really the ideal way to go about it. So what do? They draft Josh Simmons. A lot of people are arguing he might be the best offensive tackle in this draft class and would have gone sooner if it wasn't for the injury. And I guess some teams are maybe regretting that. Maybe some teams did not do their due diligence because he's available now. I mean, he practiced every single day in training camp, was never unavailable. He was the number 1 left tackle. Whenever the starters were on the field, he was there for every single left tackle snap. So the good news is the Chiefs know who their left tackle is. I think some people were wondering, is there going to be some competition at left tackle? Is Jalen Moore going to compete, or is he going to compete on the right side with Jawan Taylor? But we're basically in an area where we're convinced Josh Simmons is expected to be not just your left tackle, a very good left tackle. And oh boy, what kind of a difference would this make for Kansas City if that left tackle spot is solved? Part of the issue with Mahomes last year was, yeah, there were players that would get open, but Mahomes did not have the time he needed to get the ball to those guys. You can get speedsters that'll get open all day long, but if your guys are not protecting them, I mean, what good is that going to do you? So hopefully Josh Simmons is going to be that solution. Hopefully if Kingsley can be just above average at left guard, doesn't have to be at the same level as Joe Thuney. No one can be at the same level as Joe Thuney. That's a tall order there. But if he can just be above average, I think Kingsley will find himself a home in the NFL at the left guard position. The right tackle position then remains a question. Is it going to be Jawan Taylor? Is it going to be Jalen Moore? I think Jawan Taylor is going to be your number 1 right tackle going into week 1, but he is on a very, very short leash this season. We know about Creed Humphrey. We know about Trey Smith. We don't need to go into that because I would not be telling you guys anything you don't know about those two. You have all pros at those positions. You'd like to think Josh Simmons is going to be at a similar level. You'd like to think Kingsley can improve. If the right tackle spot is the worst spot on the offensive line, that's manageable. That is very manageable for Patrick Mahomes. Keep in mind, I just told you guys the Chiefs have reached the AFC title game at the minimum. At the minimum, the Chiefs either win the AFC title or they lose it in overtime. And mind you, this is with a bad offensive tackle duo for most of the time Mahomes has been in Kansas City. Oh, and by the way, they've won 3 Super Bowls during that time frame. So, I mean, how many different left tackles has Mahomes won a Super Bowl with? Eric Fisher's one, Orlando Brown is another. And who was the left tackle for Super Bowl 58? I think it was Donovan Smith. Yeah. So you've had a different left tackle each of the last, 3 or 4 years, and you're going to Super Bowls or winning them. I mean, come on. Like, how many other quarterbacks could do that? And I think that's why a lot of people praise Mahomes in Kansas City, is because he's out there making it work, even with a bad offensive tackle duo over there. And don't forget last year with all the injuries, Mahomes found a way to still make it work. Squeezed by in a lot of close games last year. That's football for you sometimes. But man, I mean, did Mahomes not find a way still, despite not having a lot of players, not having wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, running back 1, running back 2? I mean, no good offensive tackle. And they still won 15 games? Yeah, that's why you'll always bet on Mahomes. That's why I think all these people that are saying, no, the dynasty is finally going to come to an end. Well, we heard that 3 years ago when Tyreek Hill got traded. Well, at the time, it wasn't a dynasty, but people were predicting the downfall of the Chiefs. You got my point. I've heard this prediction many times. This is one of those things that I'll believe it when I see it. And right now, if you're betting against Mahomes, bold move. Listen, I get it. They're not always going to reach the AFC title game, but you still don't bet against them until it actually happens. I mean, that's just a commonality there. Thank you for everything you did over in St. Joe. Well, I appreciate you, Deldrick. I'm glad. I hope you guys all enjoyed the content from St. Joe this year. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Tried some different things, but a lot of you guys loved it. Got a few people bitching and moaning about the watermarks. I love when people tell me what to do with my content. Yeah, like I'm really going to listen to Karen696969 on Twitter or Instagram. I'm totally going to take cues from Karen696969 on how to run my social media. Totally going to take cues from her. The other minor takeaways. Jalen Royals and Tyquan Thornton. Those two kind of came out of nowhere. Those two, no one really knew what to expect from them in training camp, and they got involved a lot with Mahomes. I was hoping we would see them get involved with Mahomes this Friday, and that might not be the case. And I'll get into that shortly. As far as the defense goes, I'm looking at that defensive line, man, and I have a lot of high hopes for that defensive line. Tershawn Wharton's a big loss for Kansas City and a big gain for Carolina. But I think in general, you still have George Karlaftis, you still have Chris Jones. You brought back Mike Pennell, which I think is an underrated Chiefs. And the Chiefs drafted 2 very young and talented group of defensive linemen in Ashton Gelati and Omar Norman Lott, who can do some really good things for you on the defensive line. I love the defensive line depth. I'm hoping the sack numbers go up this year, because that did hurt the defense a little bit. Defense was still very good, but they did take a step back because of the drop-off in sack total. I think they had 18 fewer sacks this year, or this past year rather than the year before. So I'm hoping they improve on that. There is one major concern I have. Maybe concern's not the right word, but I'm just not really sure. And I need your guys' commentary on this, because I need help on this one here. This is not me trying to be funny or insulting or uh, trying to just say someone's bad just to say they're bad. But what is the realistic expectation from Felix Anudike-Uzomah this year? Like, what do we expect from him realistically? Keep in mind, this guy was your first round draft pick from 2 years ago when the draft was in Kansas City. And I'm seeing a lot of people say, did the Chiefs just draft this guy simply because he's from Kansas City? Look, unless you drafted a quarterback, a kicker, or a punter, I mean, the city would have gone nuts no matter who you drafted. Because you had Clark Hunt come out there with the third Super Bowl trophy. Then he announced a draft pick, and everyone's going nuts. You have fireworks, you have fans singing, the Beastie Boys. I mean, you could have picked anyone outside of those three positions, QB, kicker, and punter, and people would have gone crazy regardless that night. I don't think the Chiefs forced themselves to draft this guy just because. And listen, he was going right around 31 in some mock drafts. So I don't think that was a reach by all means. But I think we have to have an honest conversation here and say that he's a bust. I remember some of you guys called into the podcast last year and said he was a bust. You guys know me, man. I will be very patient with these kinds of things. I don't like to use that bust label so quickly on someone. We've seen sometimes, not all the time, we've seen sometimes players get drafted in the first round. Their first year, their rookie year, they're not really living up to the expectation. And there's always hype of the first round draft pick on all 32 teams. Well, some teams have 2 first round picks, but you get the idea. But then sometimes you just see maybe a little bit of a change in the second year and you see an improvement sometimes. We didn't get that from Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Let me read you his numbers here because this is concerning for an edge rusher that was taken in the first round. When it comes to the regular season, he has 3 sacks. He had half of a sack in 2023, his rookie year. He had 2.5 sacks this past year, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 41 tackles, 14 QB hits. That's doesn't sound terrible, but when you consider that this is your first round pick, it's concerning. In the playoffs, he has just 1 sack. He's played 4 games out of a possible 7. The Chiefs played 4 playoff games in 2023, and FAU only played in 1 of them, and it was a Super Bowl. And he had a couple of good run stops on Christian McCaffrey in that game. But you're not drafting this guy in the first round just to get you a couple of run stops against Christian McCaffrey in Super Bowl 58. This is a guy who's supposed to go out there and get 7, 8, 9, 10 sacks in a season. At least should have up to this point. And he hasn't. Here's the part that's alarming to me the most. In this past preseason game, FAU was playing in the second half with 3rd and 4th string players. When your first round draft pick from 2 years ago is playing with 3rd and 4th stringers in a preseason game, I don't know what to tell you, man. If I'm a head coach and I'm putting my first round draft pick out there with 3rd and 4th stringers in a preseason game, I mean, is that not a message sent to FAU? Like, he should be kicking everyone's ass on the field. Instead, he got to the quarterback. The problem is it was a roughing the passer quarterback, a late hit on the QB. If you look at the total number of snaps he had last year, he had 332 snaps. That's 98th, according to Pro Football Focus. That's not good. And I don't know if that's among edge rushers. I think that's among edge rushers in the NFL. Yeah. That is not very good. His numbers just aren't up to the standard of a first round draft pick. So again, I'll ask this question. Realistically, what do we expect from Felix Anudike-Uzomah moving forward? Because I have no idea. I mean, you have George Karlaftis, who is still your guy. You have Ashton Gelati, who you drafted, Mike Dana, who you re-signed not too long ago, Charles Omenihu, who you brought back. If FAU was playing like a first-round draft pick, I don't think Charles Omenihu would still be on this team. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. But I'd like to think that your ideal starting defensive ends this year would be George Karlaftis on one side and FAU on the other side. That's not how it is. FAU is buried on the depth chart. Listen, he might make the team as a third stringer. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I guess there's some benefit to keeping him because he's on a rookie deal. But I don't know. Joshua says trade him quick. For what? Who wants him? And what are they going to give up for him? I mean, listen, at this point, you have to just take a loss. If it's a 7th round pick, you take a 7th round pick. But would any team even give a 7 for FAU? Seriously, like maybe there's one team out there that saw something in him on the scouting report that they really liked, and they were bummed out because he went to Kansas City. But in the meantime, like right now, I don't know if anybody is rushing to trade for FAU. I just realistically don't know if the Chiefs would get anything. Sure, you want to trade something for a first round. I will say this: the selling point is he's on a rookie deal, and maybe a change of scenery is what he needs to play better. Sometimes that happens. You never know. But I'm just being completely honest here because we got to be honest about this conversation now. FAU is a bust. If he's not a bust, what do you call him? Why is he a first-round draft pick playing with third and fourth stringers? Your first-round draft pick from 2 years ago should not be playing in the second half of a preseason game. Now, I mean, listen, if Vrabel wants him, great. But does Vrabel see a value in him? I mean, I don't know. Only way you would know is if Vrabel actually were to make an offer. But we haven't seen that yet. Brandon's asking, what would be your overall grade for Jalen Royals and Cam? I'll give him a B plus. He had a couple of rookie errors, had a couple of drops here. So nothing horrible. I mean, listen, this is a 4th round draft pick, so keep that in mind. But I do think that's someone, he is someone that's going to play a lot this year. More than I probably anticipated. If it's a 6-game suspension, that's a good time to serve the 30 days. Not really, because he's got to train and be ready to come back. I mean, listen, I've never been to jail. I suppose they have weights there and all that stuff, but I don't think that's ideal for a professional athlete to go there during the season. Maybe after the season, for sure. Like as soon as Kansas City's season is over with, and hopefully it's in February with the Lombardi being lifted. Yeah, go enjoy your parade, and the next morning, get your ass there, get the 30 days over with, and get the hell out. Who do I have at right tackle, Moore or Taylor? I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go Taylor, but I do think he's on a very short leash. Do I think Remigio makes the team? Yes. I think he's your best option as a returner. And I think by default, he'll make the team and will be one of the wide receivers for sure. Mary says, I'm ready for the New Heights podcast. Okay, let's talk about this for a moment here before we get to our last topic of the podcast. Is this not going to break records? Podcasting records, YouTube views? So, among non-music videos, the most viewed YouTube video in a 24-hour span is the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, which wasn't that supposed to come out this year or something? I don't know. Of course, it got pushed back. With that said, 24 hours. Can they pass 90.4 million? Listen, long form podcasts like this. I mean, their Instagram, their trailer for this podcast, everything is through the roof. So there's a possibility. I put the over under at 250 in 24 hours, 250 million views in 24 hours. A lot of you guys are taking the over. I'm a little surprised. We'll see what happens. But look, I mean, is this not the perfect time? Travis just had the Happy Gilmore 2 movie come out. He was on the cover of GQ just recently. Taylor just announced her album in the teaser they did, so everyone's aware of it now, and I'm sure they'll go into it. Maybe there might be an announcement date as well tonight. By the way, they did release one quote. This is hilarious. This is from Taylor Swift on the New Heights podcast. As we all know, you guys have a lot of male sports fans that listen to your podcast. And I think we all know that if there's one thing male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens is more of me. And she's saying that with a snicker on her face. Like she is referencing the dads, Brads, and Chads. Oh boy. Yeah, she is definitely taking a shot at those who bitch and moan that she's on TV for a grand total of 20 seconds per game. Like, come on. Like, what's the harm? Do you know, remember what Chris Hansen did for Dateline 20 years ago? And he's doing it all over again, and he's catching even more people. And I have to be careful with my words on here because social media is very strict about certain words. Dude, there are a lot of those people that are out there in the streets. We need to focus our anger on that. But some of you guys are way too triggered that Taylor Swift is on your TV. Like, seriously, come on, man. There are far worse things in this world to be all worked up about. I mean, people are worked up that she's on the podcast. No, I don't recall anyone being put into a chokehold to listen to this podcast. For anyone that's like, oh, I'm unfollowing you. Okay, my followers have been going up since the news broke. So they've been going up since training camp started, like way up. So how about it? I love when people announce that they're leaving my page too. That's always my favorite. Why the hell did they have Sky Moore on special teams again? I don't know. Seems like it's almost as mysterious as Bobby Scipio being placed at punt returner. Remember that experiment? Yeah, that was quite the experiment for sure. Let's see. Did I miss any questions here before I move on? I think I got all the questions there. Let me quickly check IG. When do you think we will get news on the Rice suspension? Man, this gets asked everywhere. I truly don't know. I'm thinking soon. Watch it be like right before the Eagles game, right before the home opener, something stupid like that. That'd be kind of wild. Okay, before we get out of here, some news that Andy Reid shared with the media. So Andy Reid spoke to the media today, and he mentioned that the starters are not expected. Some of the starters are not expected to play Friday's preseason game in Seattle. He also mentioned that Mahomes might not play in this, which is kind of out of the norm because you want your starters to play the first two preseason games, and the third preseason game, they're off. If Mahomes does not play another game in the preseason, he will have gone 27 days from the first preseason game to the season opener in Brazil against the Chargers. Now, I'm not concerned about that. We've seen the Chiefs. We saw the Chiefs just recently. Their starters had a 24-day break, if you will. And I know people were making a big deal. Like, people make it sound like the players, the starters, are just at home sitting on the couch playing video games. Yet the Chiefs looked fine when they had that 24-day break, if you will, or they were off for 24 days. That one always gets me. That always makes me chuckle. But in 2020, the Chiefs starters had 21 days off, if you will. And I say that in air quotes because, come on, I mean, they're still practicing. It's not like they're just sitting at home doing nothing. They're still training, practicing, all that stuff. So I'm not concerned about the 27 days off, if you will, for Mahomes and a majority of the starters, I would imagine. Does not really bother me at all. What's the benefit in this? Why would Andy Reid be doing this? Because it is out of the norm to not use your starters for the second preseason game and possibly not even the third as well. The third is normal to not use your starters there. The second, that'd be different. I just think back to last year. Last year was a bad year for the Chiefs in terms of the injury bug. Okay. You lost a lot of wide receivers, Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice on top of that list. I'm sorry, not Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Isaiah Pacheco missed a majority of the season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not injured. He was just unavailable for mental health reasons. You just had all kinds of issues with injuries on the offensive side of the football. You had a couple on defense. The most major one was Jalen Watson. But ultimately, I think the logic in all of this is let's not risk it. Which, listen, you never know. A player could get hurt on the first quarter of the game in Brazil against the Chargers. I mean, who knows? But I think at the end of the day, this is a team that wants to make sure they have all of their guys. Hollywood Brown has not been able to practice for a while. Kareem Hunt, and it's minor, but he did not practice today. So I think you just want to make sure you got yourself at your team at full strength going into week one. I mean, listen, from like an emotional standpoint with football withdrawal and all, yeah, I need to see Mahomes, but do I really need to see Mahomes from a logical standpoint? No, not really. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Mahomes should never play a preseason game ever again. No, you've got to go out there and kind of get hit a little bit, play against an actual opponent, because let's be honest, even when the pads are on, no one's ever trying aggressively to tackle the ball carrier in these practices. I mean, they just don't do that. But if it's, if you're going up against the Seahawks like this Friday, for example, yeah, Nick Bolton might go out there and drill him as hard as he can. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt in the process, but that's what you expect. You don't ever hurt your own teammates in practice. That's why there was a brawl, maybe not a brawl, but a little bit of a scuffle in Bengals camp today with the Shamar Stewart thing. Someone said earlier, you don't hit the quarterback. Yeah. What did Todd Haley say when he was the offensive coordinator of the Browns? I think he shouted, "Don't touch the fucking quarterback," or something like that. Something funny like that. I don't remember. But yeah, Andy Reid, looks like the starters will not play. It's a 9 p.m. kickoff, 9 p.m. Central Time. So if you're staying up late expecting now, especially if you're an East Coast fan, it's going to be 10 p.m. for you. Yeah, probably not going to see Mahomes. So if that makes it worth your time to do something else, then I guess you could do that on a Friday night. A couple of questions here before I get out of here. Joshua says, why is tearing down the Royal Stadium and building a new one in its spot not an option? I'm assuming you mean building a new Chief Stadium where the Royals are now. I don't know. The Chiefs said their only option there is to renovate. Building a new stadium is going to take time, guys. It's going to take 3 to 4 years, because I've had people ask, what's the rush? The deal does not end until 2030 or 2031. Guys, you can't just show up in 2031 and just snap your fingers and say, yeah, we want a new stadium. No, like, you got to design it and then you have to build it, and that takes time. The Royals, do the Royals even know what the hell they're doing? Seriously, do the Royals know what they're doing? Like they've been all about downtown, but they can't pick a spot. How do you not have a spot picked out yet? And honestly, if you're the Chiefs, you should have your decision made by now. I don't know what these two teams are doing. Honestly, it's kind of starting to get on a lot of people's nerves. I know the media went to training camp and they were interviewing fans, and a lot of them were like, dude, pick a place. Just go already. Like, you'll get the fans regardless. But I don't know, man. I get this is a massive decision that you can't walk back on, but don't you have the information you need by now? Like, what Mark Donovan and Carcon both said they're working out fine details. I mean, you should have this done by now, but I don't know, man. Billionaires, I don't know. Yeah, pick something. I agree. Am I going to Brazil? No, I will not be making that trip. All right. That'll do it for this edition of the not the Red Friday Q&A Live, the Chiefs Zone. Reminder, what I meant to say is no Red Friday Q&A Live chat this Friday because the Chiefs are playing on Friday. So I'm not quite sure. Should we do a podcast? Well, we probably will, but it won't be anything long, especially since it's going to be late anyway. Most of you guys will probably be in bed. There might not be a whole lot to really go over since we're not expecting to see the starters in this game. So we'll do a podcast. We'll do a pregame live chat, all that stuff. But don't expect too much. We'll do the pregame live chat 8 p.m. Central Time, so look out for that. It'll be fairly short. The halftime stream will do that as well, and the postgame podcast, that'll be fairly short as well. Again, it looks like we're going to see a bunch of backups, so there won't be probably too many takeaways from that game, but we'll discuss what we can after the game. So keep that in mind. That'll all take place on Friday. My name is Farzin Vasugian. I know you guys all have stuff to do in about 10 minutes, aka the Swifty podcast on New Heights. So enjoy that. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thanks again for listening to the Chiefs Zone. I'm out. Take care.